Good evening and welcome along to another episode of Not Another Rangers podcast. Delighted to be back in the hot seat, but I'm suffering from a little bit of dry mouth. Bear with me a second. I thought that was water, but it's actually the bitter taste of Brendan Rodgers' salty tears. Yes, 2 weeks after Derby delight for the Jers, Watergate is still front and centre. Reform UK are having a press conference tonight in Birmingham, and despite Nigel Farage, Lee Anderson and Lana Wolf all in attendance, those collection of big tits have all been undone by Brendan. Yes, never mind Richard Nixon, the crybabies of Scottish football are out in force despite being 13 points clear at the top. They're playing the victim card, claiming Czerny was disrespectful. But isn't that what rivalry's all about? And isn't that exactly what the Rangers have been missing the last 5 years? Has the return of the staunch Avengers finally taught this group of players a lesson? Joining me to discuss all that, Dundee and more, Ricky Forbes and Mr. Scott Kerr. Scott, how are we, mate?
Getting by, Davey, slowly, but difficult at this moment in time. You'll probably know, obviously, I've spoken to you two off before we come on here tonight, and I know a few other people have know about it. Alan mentioned it in the chat there, and I have to say thanks, Alan, for your donation. It was very much appreciated. Obviously, my dog's Walter's not going through a good time at the moment. He collapsed last week. He got rushed in for surgery. He pulled through. Luckily, he came through it very well. Well, not very well, came through it, but he was just there. They say that he was touch and go for a bit, but he's a very strong wee dog, as French bulldogs are. But we were told that he wait 12 to 14 days for the diagnosis of his liver, because he got half his liver taken away, and he's got cancer in his blood, so it's spreading through his wee body. So they got to see an oncologist coming on Wednesday, so it's not looking good, and I can't really process it at this moment in time. But I'd just like to say to everybody who donated or who reached out, thank you very much. It was very much appreciated, and I don't even know what else to say to you, but thanks a lot. Me and my wife are totally stunned by people reaching out to us and putting donations in and everything else. It's fabulous, and we can never say thank you enough.
And so say all of us, Scott. And if anybody does want to contribute to Walter's campaign, the link is in the description. We've put it in the chat. So thanks to each and every one of you who have donated. And Ricky, how's yourself, mate? Long time no speak.
Yeah, no, good, mate. Good to see you back in the hot seat. That was some intro. We've missed that. Absolutely superb, mate. Excited to see Rangers again tomorrow night. It's going to be late my time, but I'll be staying up for that. That's for sure. Excited to see, like you said, the staunch Avengers. Hopefully we can continue this form up in Dundee.
Well, Ricky, let's start with it. Let's start with the soundbite of the day. Brendan Rodgers and his salty tears, because whilst we don't really want to give the other side of the city much time, to come out and say it's disrespectful, given everything we've had to endure during his first tenure as Celtic manager. The obvious image is Lee Griffiths tying the scarf to the goalpost in terms of shithousery for their side of things. Is this not just a wee bit of revenge taste sweet for Rangers here?
Mate, his own fans were attacking him for what he said before the Old Firm game. And he's been such a snidey rat of a manager since he came to Scotland. He's had it his own way. Gerrard gave him a bloody nose, and then he couldn't wait to get back to England quick enough. And his comments last week before the match of how easy it was going to be, and Rangers are this, and he's been pulling Rangers chains, and he's had our players on strings for months and months and months and months. We give them a little bit back. His fans are against him. His fans are raging what he said before the match. And it is amazing that after the international break, 2 weeks later, he's still crying about the way that he described it. Oh, it was my player would never do that. Czerny sprayed the water right in the Celtic fans' faces. It's like, guys, it was water. He sprayed it running along the touchline. It was absolutely superb. And get it right up on.
Now, Kerr, we grew up in an era where you would have seen Celtic and Rangers players go for a drink together, you know, at the weekend, during international breaks. and there was always that sort of banter on and off the pitch, but fully committed in both sides. And we did see at times you had Ian Ferguson, Di Canio, all the rest of it, but it never boiled over to this level of media circus. Would you put that down to? Is that just because in recent seasons they're not used to getting beat, so when it happens, it's like extra bitter for them to take?
I think last week was Davy and the last when we played them last Sunday there. I think they expected to win. They expected to win that day and say that's the league fight really over and celebrate, and that's how Rangers fans were allowed back in. Well, that's my take. If it was a very close title race, there'd still be no away fans there. But Rangers turned up and they didn't let them get their own way. Granted that we got a late winner, but they still never let them get their own way, and then we celebrated. It's like, is it over the score? I don't think so. I think the media's made it a lot worse than it actually is. I think they're trying to get stories out of nothing. I think Brendan Rodgers has always been an arsehole, to be honest with you. But he likes to complain. He was at Liverpool. He'd been at Celtic before. He went back to Leicester. It was the same. The problem with Celtic is at the moment is a bit like we had in the 90s, David, yourself, you'll remember as well, Ricky. It's like we bit of entitlement. I hated when Rangers lost in the 90s because we were like that. Why did we just get beat here? Nobody's really beating us. And they've got that at the moment. But it still doesn't mean they don't get beat. You know what I mean? I think we need to Rangers have to get back to where we can challenge them because they don't like it at all. You've seen it now. They don't like. It's like we don't deserve to be in the same pitch as them. Some of their fans are thinking that. They're all turning up there thinking it's going to be 5, 6, 7. And it isn't. And granted, I know they're winning the league. They probably won the treble. And if that was me, that's my soundbite would be, you've beat us twice, but we're still winning the league and winning the treble. Well, probably won the treble. But they're still complaining about that game. So it just shows you it's more than the title for them. It's they want to destroy us, beat us every game they can. And this season, for some reason, we've done them twice. And that's probably more on us because I'm thinking about we beat Celtic twice. It could be 3 times, but we're still 13 points behind. That makes it more of a shambles for us than it actually does for them. But no, I just think they don't like getting beat, Davey. And I don't mean with anybody else hate getting beat with us because they've had it the long way. They've had it their own way for so long.
Ricky, if we take Jack Butland in isolation since he was speaking to the media the day, I think it's fair to say over the course of the campaign, he's definitely underperformed. His performances have picked up in the big games of late, which is a bonus. It seems that it's good to get the monkey off the back in terms of Old Firm victories for himself personally. But he spoke at length about the McGregor effect, and I kind of liken it to the Dujon Sterling comment after the Old Firm victory, where they talk about intensity in training has increased and that desire, almost Jack Butland said it was the hair dryer treatment that the players have got, and none of them were used to it. So is that kind of shock and awe value from the Rangers coaching staff has been what's missing? Is that the missing ingredient? Do these players need a kick up the backside? And is that the type of management style going forward that a form of that has to be in the coaching staff, whoever is in charge at the start of next season?
Yeah, well, I've been thinking about this a lot, and I'm glad you brought it up because I watched the Butland press conference today, and that's what I took from the press conference was as well. I loved the way he was speaking about McGregor, but I also loved the way he was speaking about Ferguson. And Ferguson's been telling us in the media, he's been amazing in the media, by the way, but he's been saying, oh, I've calmed down, I've not been, I'm nice and calm with the players. And listen, he's absolutely shocked every single Rangers supporter. The amount of stick we gave Ferguson when he came in, and everyone is guilty. We all need to eat humble pie. We were all like, what is this appointment? What's going on here? We did like McCann, we did like Dodge, but we were all like, okay, is this going to work? The modern player and everything like that. And you hit the nail on the head. It is the exact ingredient that we've been missing, these players. But my only thing I would say to caveat that, I'm loving Ferguson. I don't want anyone else to come in unless we can guarantee they're going to be a better version of Ferguson. maybe a Gerrard with the right management team, you could say, or argue with someone that similar with that British style. But what I will say about Ferguson, and what we have to see it work now, and tomorrow's massive. To me, my feeling as a Rangers fan, I'm really excited to watch Rangers again, right? But this Dundee game tomorrow is as important as the Celtic game for me. I'm not going into this game tomorrow. This is the first time in years I've been this excited. I know we've got nothing to play for, but that feeling of having your Rangers back again, I'm so excited for the game tomorrow, and I hope it works out for the team. We don't want to go back to, it's Dundee away, and we'll speak about formations and everything later, but I'm absolutely loving what Ferguson and the team is doing. But my only little concern is, how long does that last? Like, it's a bit like what a crazy parent you see that shouts at their kids all the time. Does that continue to work, or does that over time, does that effect get less and less and less and less, and it starts to actually flip? That was my only, I'm not saying it will, but that's the only thing I would add to that. But so far, everything has been great except the Motherwell game. But Nelly's had time with the players, so let's see what we do. And because the Celtic games and the European games have never been a problem in the past, it's the stupid games like, well, we're always laughing about it. Well, come on, we're going to play Dundee, and we've not beaten Dundee the last 2 times we've went to Dens Park, which is just incredible, that start. So now we want to see a good, complete performance on the attack, show that we can break a low block down. And what Ferguson and his team have done the most is, like you said, the intensity. The reason we got a result at Celtic Park was because we were aggressive. We took no prisoners. All the stuff that went on was absolutely what you need to do. You need to treat bullies with a punch in the nose, and that's what we did. And we need to keep that going up at Dens Park.
And Ricky, if I can just stick with you on Butland himself, now, he did say that he's had good moments and bad moments this season. I think it's fair to say that under Clement, just before Clement left, he was on a patchy form that was probably his worst in terms of a run of maybe 5 or 6 games where he made consistent mistakes. He seems to have had a slight upcurve in performances since then, with McGregor coming in. Do you think, he spoke at length at that press conference that they have a friendship away from football and they play golf together, and he thinks that sort of friendship is galvanised him? Do you think you can see that in his performances of late?
It's been better, but it needs to be much better. Let's be honest. He was brilliant in a penalty shootout, right? But now, the same as the other players, because it's not just Butland. I'm putting every single Rangers player on trial now. We're going up to Dundee. We need to see this for every single match. We need to see consistency from your Cherneys, your Butlands, your Dessers, all these sort of players. We can't be like turning up for some games and then not turning up. So it's a bit early to judge Butland. But I mean, listen, our rebuild is that big in the summer that if we can get Butland back to form and keep him as an option, then that, for me, that's a decent. And then worry about that further down the line. If McGregor can get his form back, that would be best case scenario. But if not, and this form continues where he's chucking in goals left, right, and centre, and he's all over the place, then we need to look at replacing him in the summer. So for me, the jury is still out until the summer, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. It's all there for him to have a good end to the season. We've got some massive games coming up. Bilbao, easy for me to say. We've got Celtic again at Ibrox, so let's see how he does. And your run-of-the-mill games are just important, so let's see how he does at Dundee against Hibs, away to the Sheep. So for me, we'll judge him in a few months' time.
No, I think that's very fair comment, Ricky. Scott, Ricky touched on the manager, and I want to do a sort of deep dive. Obviously, when he came in, we had the result against Kilmarnock after a really poor start. We got the quick turnaround. We then had, the loss at home to Motherwell. And then we've gone on to beat Fenerbahce over 2 legs and beat Celtic at Parkhead for the first time in 5 years. So it's a kind of okay, up and down sort of mini roller coaster at the moment. But I think the one thing that's obvious is you can see that he is getting a tune out of the players. There is a connection and a synergy there between the coaching staff, the fans, and the players at the moment. Now, do you think he stands a chance long-term of getting a job? And if he does, How do you see that playing out with a pending takeover? Because at the moment we've got players running out of contracts running down, and we're linked with players the day in the press, but we don't know who's signing them. And I just kind of feel that him and his coaching staff must have some sort of say going forward into next year, because otherwise we're going to hit the brick wall at the end of the season and start from scratch again. And I don't think that's feasible.
No, I agree with you, I don't. But listen, I think the Ferguson and the rest of them came in blind. I think they just came in to fill the void when the season. And I don't think majority of people, like you says, respect anything from them. Because Barry Ferguson's got a kind of stigmatism attached to him. He's an Ed, he's a fighter, he's this, he's blah, blah, blah. But he's done a lot better than we thought. But it's not just him, it's a lot of them, the management team themselves. I think they've changed the mentality. And I don't think, I'm not one that believes the manager bounces. I just believe that the players, the former manager kind of turn off, eventually stop listening, and when the new manager comes in, they get that wee bit, they start to be their old selves again, and that's where you want to, if you want to call it a bounce. I just think the players start to play again. So listen, there's going to be big changes in the summer. I just don't think the new owners coming in are going to be spending all that money without plans in place already, like director of football, like manager, like maybe players. I don't know where Ferguson and the rest of them come into it, but all I can say is they put themselves in contention to win that conversation, because the way we've changed, the way the players are speaking about them, granted some of the players might not be here next season, but even the fans, a lot of the fans have changed. And you can see that at the games, you can see it if you're watching the telly. It's changed because we didn't expect much. We didn't, especially when Clement left. We were all kind of finished. It was like, when's the season going to be over? We don't know what's happening. But since Ferguson's come in and we've seen him be uptight, obviously beating Fenerbahce and then going to Celtic Park, one in a Parkhead, or you want to call it, they're starting to get behind us again. But you don't want to jump in the bandwagon too much in case it derails and you're thinking what's going on. We've done it with players before. Listen, I think Barry Ferguson, like he is to me, like everybody else when they played, he's probably one of their heroes, and he's up there with the best of them. And you've got an affection, obviously, with Mal McGregor, Neil McCann, Billy Dodds. You've got affection with them all. And I don't know, Davey, I just think they put themselves in the conversation. I think that's all they could have hoped for at the start. And maybe made the owners think. The only thing is, you don't want to do what Roma done with De Rossi, bring him in, give him a contract, and 8 months later, he's away. Or Chelsea done it with Di Matteo. I know he won the European Cup, to be fair, but they bagged him after a good start. So I don't know where we're going to go. I don't know the manager. I don't know. I mean, Gerrard's very strongly linked. And I'm not a big fan of bringing him back, but that's just a personal opinion. I know some folk are. I just think Gerrard, Ferguson, it's a bit of the same kind of thing, isn't it? Ferguson gets respect the same as Gerrard does. Gerrard may be obviously a better player, but for the Rangers job, Ferguson probably gets more respect day by day because he's Barry Ferguson. So I don't know. I just think the owner have got a big decision to make. But listen, I think between now and the end of the season, I was looking forward to the end of the season, Dave. I mean, after Clement left, I just thought it was going to be dead rubbers till the end and season over. But I'm actually looking forward to games now because I think we're playing better. He's changed the system, and you can see it in the players. I'm enjoying watching Rangers again.
No, I think we all are.
Can I just ask Kerr, if Ferguson and if he wins every single, forget about Europe, right? Because Bilbao Atletico is a really tough match, right? But if he wins every game in Scotland, except for Aberdeen away, because I'll say that he should play a reserve team in that match in between the European game. But if he wins every game in Scotland, would you give him a chance for a season?
I just said to him, I've no qualm with him coming back. And if it's between him and Gerrard, I would probably give it to Ferguson. But I'm not the owners, Ricky, and I think the money they're spending, they might want a bigger name in their eyes. And
does it not feel good having staunch McGregor? Like Davey, what do you think?
It does, but I don't know if I can take you only so far. But then next season,
that's what I'm saying. So, but you rip it up like Clement was a disaster. You bring in another soft fool like Clement, who doesn't get the players fighting. He doesn't know about giving that aggression. He doesn't. It's all this new manager with a laptop. It's nicey. We know what was happening with Comont, right? Rangers were drawn matches, and Comont was coming in the dressing room going, "Oh, unlucky boys, unlucky. It wasn't, he had all the excuses. We played in Europe. Oh, you'll be tired on Sunday. I'm going to rest a couple of years." He had every single excuse in the book, man. Ferguson's just got the baseball bat out with Dodds, walked into that dressing room with the baseball bat with Dodds and McCann, and just smashed up the sports science department and just went full. This is old school. This is the way we're going to do it. And if it's working, the worst thing that can happen to me is we rip that up at the end of the season for just a name, and then we go back to the absolute dross that we've watched for the last 3 years. I'll be in tears if that happens.
We've been linked with the ex-Butland boss as well, haven't we? So the guy.
Who the fuck is the ex-Dortmund boss? What the fuck does he know about Scottish football?
That's what I'm saying.
Stupid.
We don't know what these owners are going to bring in. You just don't know it.
What do they know about Scottish football? You're going back to absolute, how stupid can you be? You've nearly fallen off a cliff. Someone's got you on the rope and got you back up the cliff. And then when you get to the top, you cut the rope and fall down again, man. That'll, we need to forget about these foreign guys that know nothing about Rangers and if we know anything now, they need to know about British football and they need to know about Rangers. Or none of these foreign guys that are, oh, it's okay to draw, it's okay to get a point here. Okay. We'll never catch Celtic at that rate.
I think Barry Ferguson, sorry David if we jump in again and that, but I think Ferguson's kind of shown his previous managerial spells don't really come into the equation here. I know he done poorly at Kilty and Alloa. Maybe when you're managing that level, and it has been such a good player he has been, I think you maybe expect too much for players and asking your players to do stuff they can never do. But I think when he's managing Rangers, he knows he's got guys there who walk into it. Barry Ferguson walks in there, McGregor walks in there, and they'll get respect because McGregor's been a teammate of some of them, but they'll get respect because their pictures are all over the place. McCann, Dodds, they're going to get respect probably more than somebody coming in who's been a manager abroad and being a manager down south. That's just the way players think. Sometimes that isn't rocket science, sometimes the answer's staring you in the face, but it's will you take that chance? I don't know.
We'll see if we think about it. How do we judge success? Because he's the first manager since Walter Smith's second spell to win his first game at Parkhead. And I think that has been such a huge hurdle for the likes of Gerrard, Van Bronckhorst, Beale, Clement. They have all found that a tough hurdle to go over. He's come in and done it right away. If he doesn't lose the game at Ibrox, we're then on this 3-game streak, and when Gerrard last left, we had it at 7 games. That's where you need to start from, because always think if you win the battle, it sends a message out. And I think that's what's been lacking. But in terms of, is it points? Does he need to get the gap down to something before the end of the season, before he'll be considered? How do we judge that, Ricky?
For me, more days. Like listen, no one gave Ferguson a chance against Fenerbahce or Celtic. Like after the Motherwell game, we were so angry and so raging, and nobody gave him that away performance in Turkey is for me has been downplayed so much. They showed what they were all about when they came to Ibrox, and I know a 2-goal lead is very, very difficult to defend. You can speak about that with the psychology of it and everything like that. But honestly, to beat that team and knock them out, people think we don't have a chance against Atletico. And I know it's going to be a tough game, mate, but I will not be surprised if we turn up to Ibrox and beat them 2-0. Nobody gave us a chance against Leipzig years ago, and Ferguson, I don't think any other manager will get that team more up for that match than Ferguson will, with the support behind the team. I think it'll be. I didn't think the atmosphere was that great the last game compared to like it was in that campaign when we got to the final. But I think this game will be like that. It'll be absolutely electric. And if he can do something there and keep winning in Scotland, I totally agree. We need to start winning in Scotland. We need to start beating Dundee, going up to Dens Park and making these games routine. And to be fair, our away form has actually been all right. It's our home form that's turned round that's been pretty poor. But for me, if he can go on a run in Scotland, I don't care about the Aberdeen game away, as I said, because I don't want him to try and be too clever in that match. I'd rather keep the players fresh for Europe because there's no break in between the two matches. But apart from that, if he can win every other game and at least put on a good performance again, I mean, I think these players don't even fear Celtic with Ferguson in charge. And you could, like you said about Butland today, the way that Butland was speaking, normally players don't give that much away, but the guy asked him a question: what was different this time you went to Celtic, and what was different this time they went to Parkhead? I mean, look at Tav and that, how poor the guys have been in the past. Tav was outstanding right back at Parkhead, and it's this management team that's one-to-one, getting round the players, giving Dessers advice, giving this player advice, giving that player advice, telling them this is what you're going to do. Like this nonsense that players can't be shouted at anymore is just absolute garbage. Okay, you've got to pick and choose your battles, and they are. The difference now with players is they're multi-millionaires, so they're all super rich guys. So it's very difficult when you've got that to keep that hunger and stuff like that. But apart from that, these guys have been unbelievable. And my biggest fear, as I just said, is that we rip all that up and then we go for some foreign name just because he's a so-called foreign name. But to be fair to these 49ers, I know that they interviewed 15 people for the Leeds manager's job. So I think Ferguson will put himself in the mix. And a lot of people are saying that they don't think that he'd be able to stay on as a number 2 and stuff like that. I'm not getting involved in the opinions because we all said that he couldn't be the manager, and look, he's proved everyone wrong. So it's going to be an interesting few months. And the main thing for me, Davey, is it's exciting to watch Rangers again, mate. I'm so excited for the match tomorrow night. I can't wait again. And that's what you want. You want that. It was so flat. I mean, even Old Firm games under Clement in the end was it was so bad. It was incredible. So we don't want to go back to that feeling. We want to keep this feeling going and get our club back, But listen, if he does I would give him, if you are speaking about that, it would be a 1-year deal. I wouldn't be doing anything like that. I would just be doing it like that and give him a season to even if you class it as a transition season, to rebuild let the director of football get in and let the club settle down a bit for a year and then sort of build on that. I think would be a good idea as well, rather than just rush in with new director of football, foreign manager, because it's going to be a very interesting summer. But it's so we'll see what happens in the future.
No, I think you make a fair point. I think that's where we've sort of faltered in recent years, where everybody who's come in the hot seat seems to have picked up a 3.5 year, 4-year contract, and it's guaranteeing them money because none of them have got it right. And we need to go back to that sort of rolling contract mentality where somebody has to come in and prove themselves, because that then sets the tone that everybody has to be a winner for us to be successful. And it's maybe something that if the 49ers group do come in and take over, that they should consider. But before we touch on the weekend's game, Ricky, because I know you're itching to get into it, the one thing I want to address, because I think it's became sort of prominent this week, is Nico Raskin. And he's rose to prominence with the Belgian team. He's now getting his start in the number 6 position for him, walked off to a standing ovation. And it kind of feels that we're sort of stuck now between a rock and a hard place, because the interest is only going to get bigger. And when you make that step up to international football, that's when the big teams start looking at you. And 2 years left on his deal. What is the right price for him to go? Because I feel that if he's not willing to sign an extension, it'll have to be deal done this summer. But what is the price?
I don't know, Davey. I think probably anywhere between 10, 15, 20. Depends who can. In fact, English clubs have a lot of money. So 20, 25 million pound a name's nothing. To be fair, it isn't. They probably lose more than other things they do. But that's up to Nico Raskin. In the day, I mean, I've been a big fan of Nico since day one, and then I think I've said that in this podcast a few times. And granted, he went through a spell with injury prone and maybe not playing in and out of the team, so he wasn't really showing what he could do. But I think given a run of games, he's got a lot of consistency in his game again. Yeah, he has to improve in certain things, we know that, but you can see what he brings to the team. Other people are starting to see it as well, like you said, that's why there's a lot of interest. And then getting a game for Belgium, I think that just capped it all off. And I don't think he'll be in a rush to go anywhere. I think if he signed a year extension, that protects us. It doesn't stop him leaving, but it protects the club as in, well, if somebody wants him, you have to pay the going rate at the end of the day because he's a good player. I think he could go down to England and do really well, go to Spain, Italy, do really well. He's a tenacious player. He's maybe not the most silkiest, but he gets the job done. He's box to box. You can see the industry in his game. He can create chances, get a few goals. He's decent in the air, but he never gives up, Dave. Even when he makes a slight pass or he loses it, the will to one to get it back is tremendous for him. A lot of people chuck it, but no, Nico, and I just think he's going to get better, and hopefully he spends another year with us will suit him, and I think he can maybe go then. But obviously every player's got a price, and the club get a good price depending on what it is. I think they would consider it, but I'm hoping it's maybe the season after, because I like to see him for a full season, because I just like watching Nico Raskid. I think he's been so good this season, he's just going to get better.
I mean, Ricky, the one thing that struck me, especially in recent weeks, is his game intelligence. The header for Diomande's goal, I don't know anybody else in Scottish football that would make that pass with the head and read, the correct weight on the header for it to fall into the path of Diomande. To me, I don't think he gets enough credit for just how much of a football intellect he is, and there's scope there to develop that. Obviously, under Barry Ferguson, if he stays, then you like to think someone Barry Ferguson's prowess in football and career history would be able to bring him on again. But the catch-22 situation here is the fact that if he doesn't sign a new deal, we're guilty of hanging on to players for too long and depreciating their value. We have to strike this time while the iron is hot, don't we?
No, 100%, mate. It's sign or sell, no questions asked. Forget about. We cannot go into his final year of his contract. He did the same thing at Standard Liège. I mean, these players, these rich teams are tapping up players left, right, and centre now. Real Madrid are the kings of it. They've just done it with Trent Alexander. So teams will be speaking to his agent and they'll be saying, look, you've got 2 years left on your deal. So for us, we cannot lose. As value is at its absolute maximum right now. He's been outstanding in the Europa League. Listen, Belgium's one of the biggest. It's not a normal national team we're speaking about here. The guy came into the team. There were two or three goals down. Man of the match performance, applauded off the pitch. Absolutely, he's not just coming on for 5 minutes, 6 minutes here. He's now going to be a big part of that Belgium team moving forward. So, I would love to keep him because I think his value is there. If he signs a new contract with, like Kerr said, with the understanding, look, Nico, we're going to let you leave. We just want a fair offer. This is what we're looking at price-wise. We're not going to get greedy, even if you have one more season where you're absolutely outstanding in the Champions League. If we qualify for the Champions League, then we're not going to increase your value. This is how much we're going to sell you for. Get him to sign a 2-year, 3-year extension and then have the agreement that he's going to, I think he's a Chelsea fan, that he's going to, they'll definitely buy him. They've got loads of money, Todd Bowley, so they can give us a nice wad of cash. I reckon you're looking at between 15, 20 million would probably be a fair price for him. But so it's definitely, it has to be stick or sell. We cannot. And what you said about him, I was listening to as well. Ferguson's retuned his game as well, because I think when Ferguson was watching him, he knows that he's got that in his locker to get forward and get in the box. He's very clever with his runs. Diamande the same. That's why we were calling for it in fair play, because I was giving Diamande a bit of stick, but putting Barron in that midfield and letting Diamande and Raskin have a bit more freedom to run into them. I would do exactly the same at Dens Park. Hadji, Bajrami, Tom Lawrence don't deserve to start for Rangers. All three of them will probably be moved on. So for me, keep Barron and Raskin, the way that Ferguson's tuned his game so that he's getting into the box with these runs and he's dangerous. So, I mean, look at our set pieces, man. Jesus. it's such a simple thing to fix, and suddenly we're super dangerous at set pieces, just with sensible runs and that again. It's so good to have Rangers back. So for me, stick or sell, but he's got a massive part to play in how good the end of our season is going to be. Because right now, Raskin is our best player with Czerny, and hopefully he can keep this form going and have a fantastic end to the season. The reason that we're beating Celtic all of a sudden and steamroller and Celtic is obviously we're speaking about tactics and aggression and stuff like that, but also it's because of players like Raskin, Diamande. I mean, Diamande in the last couple of Firm games has been absolutely tired. The only thing with Diamande, you need to get a bit more fitness into him because his tires very easy. But that 60, 70 minutes he gives you, he's starting to really come to the fore as a proper Rangers player. You're starting to see that, okay, this is the reason we paid the money for him. So we need to keep that going with these players. And for me, it doesn't matter if the 49ers, whoever comes in, we need to get this club to a state of strength, and then every season be selling one player like Celtic have been to go with the Champions League money. And that's how you get the club sustainable, and you get the club, the 49ers, going, what a great decision it was to buy Rangers, so they don't need to put the season tickets up to £700-800 that they've just done with Leeds United. We don't want to see that with Rangers. So this is the way to do it, is build a team around these sort of players.
Never mind season tickets. If Rachel Reeves gets her way, it'll be that for a packet of Chris shortly, Ricky. But Kerr, if we sort of take it to politics and football politics, if you will, obviously during the week, club released another statement, and obviously we've got the issue with the Union Bears, or a section of the Union Bears being targeted with, permanent suspension from games. I'll be brutally honest. I'll put my tuppence worth in for what it's worth. I think it's an excessive punishment. I'm not sure the punishment fits the crime, in all honesty. I'm a great believer in freedom of speech, and even those that I don't agree with, I defend the right to say it. And I just kind of feel it's the start of a slippery slope for the club to begin doing this route, because there's certain flags that were hung above Vibrox the whole month of January, which are contentious because a lot of us don't believe that sexuality flags have any place in football. So why are we then targeting their own? I just kind of feel there was a better way to handle this situation. What's your take on it?
I think when you start mixing football and politics, it's never going to be a happy ending, no matter what side of the fence you sit on. I think that's just the way the world does at the moment. It seems to be you have to kind of agree with people's opinions, but if you have your opinion your own, they don't agree with it, then you're wrong. Listen, I think the board have to be careful. I think moving the Union Bears to Court no never worked. I think a lot of people sitting there don't want them there. So I think that's quite. I think a lot of people want them back into Broomloan. I thought they were better than the Broomloan myself. I don't know why they moved. The banner itself you're talking about, I don't really know what part was racist and what part was whatever else, discriminate, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. Listen, it's somebody's opinion. The only thing I don't agree with, Dave, is when they put banners up, it's trying to say like that banner reflects every single person's opinion in the stadium, and that doesn't, because we're all individuals, we've all got our own opinions in certain things. Even us each have different opinions and stuff. So I don't agree with that, but I don't see what Rangers are going very, very hard on it, aren't they? They seem to be, I don't know why. I don't know if it's Patrick Stewart coming from him. He seems to be a kind of mouthpiece at the moment. I don't know why they're going so hard. I don't know if they've had other issues with the Union Bears. I'm not 100% sure, maybe behind the scenes are. But they must know, the club must know to a point what banners are going to fly. Because they don't walk in with their banners at kick-off. The banners are placed somewhere. You can't walk in with a banner this size. I get searched at Broomloan Thursday when I've got an app in my pocket and the guy's asking me what it is. So I'm not going to walk in with a big, massive banner, do you know what I mean, and get through it. So they must be kept somewhere in the stadium. So the club obviously know to a point of flying a banner. Sure, they should say to them, right, what you flying? It's a European game. I know UEFA's got a law on their own and you have to watch what you do. No matter if it's right or wrong, UEFA say it's your way or nothing. And we know that. So sure, the club should say to them before European games, what banners you are flying? right, we don't agree with that one, keep that to a league game, or just don't keep it in the cupboard and don't bring it out at all. Surely don't let them just put banners up for the sake of it, because then it's not working for you, because you're letting these folk sit in the same seats every week. They're letting these folk go to away games with banners and send me the pyros and stuff. I like pyros, right? But I get to a point when it shouldn't happen because some people don't like it. That isn't allowed in the football stadium in the UK, Scotland. And that's after next to folk is holding one. I know what it's like. And they do stink, to be fair, but I think it's good. I think it's good to watch, but unless you want to make something maybe more friendlier, as in that, why you can maybe bring them into the stadiums, but stop doing that. Stop bringing the banners in just now, especially European games, and then sit down with the club and say, right, what do you want us to do? What do you want us to do? I've heard people saying they also sing songs and blah blah blah, but all these songs Rangers, the Union Bears sing, certain games the whole stadium are joining in. Yeah, I've heard people saying that they shouldn't be singing this, they shouldn't be singing that. What is it nice? You're just going to go to Ibrox and just sit in your hands and not say nothing, don't shout anything, don't fly anything, just sit there and do nothing. I mean, football always been a place you could go and let off steam, have a bit of banter, shout, all different stuff, but after 90 minutes it's forgotten about it. Not just Rangers fans, football fans in general. But nowadays it's like you're getting told what you should believe, what you shouldn't believe, what you should do this, what you should do there. And it's a very slippery slope, you said, David, to go down. I think football, politics don't mix for me, but it was always going to happen, wasn't it? Especially when UEFA's involved.
Ricky, you get any yard?
Yeah, no, I mean, the timing's terrible. Like, guys, come on. I mean, I totally agree. People go to the football to get away from all this nonsense, you know, like we're saturated with all this pish every single day. There's a new cause. Everyone thinks they're important. Everyone thinks they're right. Everyone thinks that their opinion is the only opinion that you need to listen to. People go to Ibrox to get away from that, man. We don't want these flags on. Listen, if people think because we have a LGBT flag on the stadium, it's going to, if these people that are prejudiced are going to remain prejudiced. It starts at home and stuff like that. People go to Ibrox to get away from all that garbage. Have the Union Jack, Scottish flag, the armed forces flags on the stadium. That's all we want to see. We don't want to see any of this other crap. It's just, but the Union Bears, man, what are you doing? The takeover's almost getting done. Just behave. Come on, boys. 4 months, just behave until at least the ink is signed. And then you can come out with your bed sheets and you can get your crayons and you can write whatever you want on any bed sheet, but just let the takeover get done. Because all they do is, you've seen it, all these morons on PLZ and everything like that, they just give them ammunition to bring up this whole dirt about Rangers, or Rangers are racist and Rangers are this. And then these headlines are there that these people, because I'm telling you now, these people that are away to take over Rangers, they'll be Googling the club, trying to take in as much information as they can. And if that crap is coming up, they'll be like, okay, what's this? This is because it's, you know what it's like as a human. If you click on something and there's a headline that's that is a bit like that shouts out to you, you're going to click on it and go, oh, Rangers. So just don't give them any ammunition. I totally agree with Kerr. I think the Union Bears are a disaster in the Copeland Road. I would move them to the corner between the Copeland and the Govan, and I would make that the same as like I know that I didn't speak about the other side, but the way they've got them in the corner, I would make that standing, and I would put the Union Bears in there because it's only one section, and then they can do what they want with their own little standing in if they get that. Because you imagine the people in the Copeland that absolutely hate them this season, and then they find out they're not getting to go to the semi-final of the Europa League because the Union Bears will bring out pyro or something for the next. And it's so boring, Davey, man. All the what about there now? They've got this flags and they've got this flags. Just we go to Ibrox to enjoy Rangers. We don't go to Rangers for any of this nonsense. So let's just draw a line under it. Make sure that we don't get this banned because the they've got a lot of pals in UEFA and they're desperate to close Ibrox. So let's not give them an excuse and let's get behind the team. I want to see when we play Atletico in the semi-final, quarter-final, I want Ibrox to be that Parma, Leipzig atmosphere where we're singing like 10 minutes before the game, get the place absolutely bouncing, because that's what will give the players a chance. That's us doing our bit to get us into that semi-final. So that's what I want to see.
Okay, there was also another slippery snake that surfaced this week again, Sir David Murray. Now, I don't know if he's releasing the book because he's short on funds these days, but, it's a name that's been associated with Rangers for years and necessarily not for all the right reasons. Certainly for, sort of 2008 era onwards when it began to surface about EBTs in the press and stuff like that. So, where do you stand on David Murray's legacy? Because I think it takes a lot of the credit for David Holmes before him, who was the man that brought Souness in and actually was the chairman who galvanised Rangers, was the chairman that got fans back in the stadium, was the chairman that made Rangers successful again after a barren spell of trophies. And David Murray just sort of jumped in on the bandwagon of that. And David Holmes was almost eliminated for Rangers history, by David Murray when he came into place. Now, don't get me wrong, David Murray then went on to have, 9 successful seasons in the next 10 after that, and he delivered the 9 in a row. But from 2001 after, where he entered this EBT scheme with some sort of, it was a guy that made porn films, wasn't it, that suggested, so that's how ludicrous it is. It's laughable that he took financial advice from a guy that made pornos. I mean, if you don't laugh, you great, because that's how ridiculous it is. But here he was, he took that financial advice and we ended up in the mire, and it's been a long road back, and we're still trying to make our way back, I think, in this day and age. So where do you stand, Kerr, on David Murray's legacy?
Listen, when he came in, like you said, he done really well. He put money into the club, he did, and he made that famous comment, if Celtic spend a five, I will spend a tenner. But that was back in the days where not many clubs had, and even the UK had money. We were outspending everybody in the UK at one point. That's how we were bringing players like Butcher and Wood, because English clubs were banned for Europe as well. So they wanted a bit of money, wanted to play in Europe, they would come to Rangers. As time went on, he started wasting a lot, didn't he? He was making excuses, and his businesses were failing. He was taking money for the club to help his own businesses, and he should have sold us far sooner than he did, Davey. But then, when it came to the point at the very end where he wanted out for just the sake of getting out, he picked the guy who you wouldn't fucking... You wouldn't sell into, you wouldn't slap him in the dark, wouldn't you? You just punch fuck at him. But he sold a guy that didn't have money. He sold a guy who was just full of nonsense. And look what happened is, he still came out saying this and saying that. Murray done well, probably the first half of his time at Rangers, but then after that, we were slowly going down a slippery slope. You see what McLeish had to deal with and stuff like that, and when he came in as manager, Walter as well, when he came back, it wasn't great, and it takes a lot of blame as well as some of the credit. So I think if you look back at David Murray's time at Rangers, I would probably say 60-40, 40% good. When the way he left us in, it will never be forgotten for me. And that's how I don't call it Murray Park. It's always called Auchenhowie, because he left us in a shout. Yeah, actually left us dead, didn't he? He left us actually fucking in life support the way he left us, because who he left us with. And you must have knew, you're not a businessman, that you must know a lot of these people involved in businesses, and the sellers to that crook. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know why he's coming out. I think you're right, and I think you're hitting the nail on the head. I think he must be a wee bit skint, or maybe the Labour's party's not helping him either, and he needs to be a bit extra money.
Ricky, do you think that by selling to Craig White for the pound that he did, he claims that he was duped? I don't think anybody in a Rangers persuasion is buying that. Has that totally crippled his legacy?
Very good pun there, mate. It's no, David Edgar had a good. I watched him the other day speaking, because he was obviously involved with the Rangers Supporters Trust at the time, and he was speaking about the book, and I liked what his analogy of the Titanic was. He called it. He says that it was like the Titanic with David Murray. Nobody speaks about the hours and hours of good sailing before it hit the iceberg, and that's very true about Rangers. At the end of the day, we all loved 9 in a row. It's like, still now, the memories, I wouldn't take any of that back whatsoever. I mean, I was doing different things when Advocat came in. That was my naughty years, so I But when 9 in a row was going on and everything like that, it was such a great time and everything. So no Rangers fan would change that for the world, but it's just sad the way that it ended. And these guys know who they're selling anything to. You know, there's no way David Murray didn't know that Craig White was a little bit dodgy. I mean, probably 5 minutes of digging would have told him he was not the right man to sell the club to. So that was we probably went through our best period in history, followed by our worst period in history. So, like you said, I mean, it will be an interesting. I mean, it's done now. There's not much you can. We're still recovering and feeling the effects of it now, so it will be interesting to see. I won't read the book, but I'll see all the stuff in the newspapers and stuff. So it will be interesting to see.
The book will probably be selling the Celtic Superstore.
Well, mate, they've got it already. They'll be rewriting their version. You'll see it all over Twitter for sure, mate. But it's just very sad the way that it ended, and I wish all that never happened, but it did now. So it'll be interesting to see. You know, it's going to be pure ego. I don't think he's short of money. The guy's absolutely minted, but it's going to be a pure ego trip if it wasn't me and I was duped and I didn't know this. And he's going to put in a few good stories. Basically, for me, he wants to try and save some sort of like get back in the good books of the Rangers fans. But I mean, that like David Edgar said, that ship has sailed and it didn't sail in a good direction. It hit the Titanic, it hit the iceberg and sunk. So that'll never be forgotten. He caused a lot. He nearly destroyed an institution, and he caused thousands of Rangers fans a lot of pain for many years. So that's what we'll remember David Murray by.
Absolutely. So I think we've covered a lot of ground tonight, so we'll bring it back to the football, Ricky, since you're interested to get stuck right into Dundee tomorrow night. 5:30 kick-off on a Saturday. That's kind of, I think a good time for an away game. The away fans will be loaded with a bevy all day tomorrow. But how do we line up, given the fact that John Souttar and Diamande can't play on Thursday? Do you think that'll have any influence in Ferguson's team selection? Because you imagine that Balogun and Proper will probably play next Thursday. So does that mean he rests Balogun and then Proper just comes right in next Thursday? Or how do you think he'll play? Do you think it'll be a back four? Do you think he'll stick with the back three? How do you see us lining up tomorrow?
I think he'll stick with the back three. And I don't think it's as defensive as what people think. I think that's a formation that you've got. We've got the players that we've got just now are suited to that formation. I think it's quite a big risk. I think if you keep Yilmaz at left back, I would anyway. I would keep Tav at right back, and because I thought he was outstanding against Celtic, created 2 goals. I would keep the midfield the same with Barron, Holden and Raskin and Diamande. I would give them even more freedom in this match to get as many numbers in the box as we could. So when you're attacking, you've got both full-backs, you've got Raskin, you've got Diamande, you've got Czerny, and the only change I would probably make to the team, I would have Igaman. I think it's time to give the big man a run in the number 9 position. I thought back to being a shit Sibo again. And he's been outstanding since Ferguson's came in. But I thought at Parkhead he was back to tripping over the ball again. And he had a chance late on where he just looked, he was back to what, the Dessers, that unfortunately that's what you get with a guy. He's Jekyll and Hyde. He's either unbelievable or he's unbelievably bad. So for me, I would bring in Igaman, keep Czerny. I think Czerny might be the player that's a doubt the way that he was speaking in the press conference, because when I saw the training videos, Souttar was there, everyone else was there from the international games. It was only really Czerny that I couldn't see. Cortez has been training again, but I don't even see him being in the squad, if I'm being honest. So for me, almost the same team that played against Celtic. They've had a good 2-week break. I love that Ferguson gave the players a week off. I think it was badly needed. Your Taverniers, your Butlands, your players like that weren't away on international duty. I think it was great because remember at the start of the season we were saying Tav was never going to be playing 60 games again, and where are we now? Tav's back playing every 3 days again. Jesus Christ, man. Tav will be tattooed on that team sheet until we die. So for me, I'd like to stick with the 3-5-2, make it attacking, go after Dundee, try and get a couple of early goals. We don't want to see a repeat of Kilmarnock. But I think the big difference for Ferguson and Dodds and all that, I think they've worked out pretty fast that they only have 12 or 13 players that they can actually rely on and count on, and the rest of the squad is, your Hagis that are hide-and-seek champion. Tom Lawrence gives you very little. Bajrami comes on. I mean, he's getting daggers now for the Algerian national team because he's hide-and-seek champion all of a sudden. So this is the big problem. Like you said, I forgot about that these guys were missing for Atletico, and they're big players for us. We don't have a replacement for Diamande. We don't have a replacement for Balogun because the drop off to Balogun to proper is absolutely massive. The drop off for Diamande, I don't think he's going to trust Rice, so it's going to be a Lawrence or something that comes in, and the drop off is absolutely huge. But you can only play with the toolkit you're given, and so that's the way I would line up and just go after Dundee and get a good win. I really want to see. To me, but as I said earlier, tomorrow night is just as important as Celtic last week for everything to do with this group of players, to do with Ferguson, to do with us having confidence that what says right, we are getting on the staunch train. The only way you can get on the staunch train is if we take care of the bread and butter games in Scotland.
Kerr, Gaza in the comments had said about Danilo, and see, to be honest with you, I think there's more chance of Mario Jardel turning out for Rangers than Danilo these days, because he seems to have just fallen right out of favour, and I don't know if we'll ever recoup the finance that we've spent on this guy. But with Czerny maybe touch and go, and been more important that Czerny plays on Thursday, do you think there's a chance he's playing two up top, and maybe whether it be Dessers and Igamani or Danilo being used in that sort of regard? Do you think if we play three at the back, maybe go 3-5-2, that'll make us sort of more potent? Because I think if we take Dundee into consideration, they'll play the ball over the top and Simon Murray will go for our centre half. So we have to be wary of them playing back to front. But in terms of our strengths, would our strengths be in having a front two?
Listen, it depends who is fit to start. Czerny, when there is Czerny, I think he's been too important, and we've got the bubble game coming up, so I would keep him for that. I mean, if I would start Igaman tomorrow. I would start Dessers as well, and you maybe out wide start Hadji or Barami. I wouldn't. Danilo has fallen off a cliff. You've seen that coming on as a sub all week, then get told to get changed again. No get changed, put your stuff back on. He wasn't happy, punching the dugout, and I don't know where it's going to be. I mean, I think you would take an offer if it came in. We probably wouldn't be able to recruit what we paid, but you just never know, Davey. There's probably still some clubs out there who still think as a player there they could make him work with it if he goes to them, because he did score a few goals in Dutch football. But I think he has to go with his fittest players. I don't think he can risk anybody. I don't think he will. No way the Bilbao game coming up. But we have to go and beat Dundee. I know you said earlier, the league's finished for me. It doesn't really matter, but the league is finished for me. It's 20 points to catch and not enough games. But you can't go to beat Celtic away and then get loose to Dundee. It's just kind of, it doesn't work for me. You have to do both. So I think the Murray has to start with the strongest ones that are fit and take the game. But I think we will turn up. I think you'll have the players ready to turn up, and I think we'll go there and score a few goals. And I think the players know now they're playing, doesn't matter who the manager is next season, they're playing for their future, either at Rangers or somewhere else. Because a lot of them maybe fear that I'm not going to be here next season, but I need to get somewhere to look here. And football's always hard because all teams across Europe cut their cloth and they maybe cut their squad sizes, so there's maybe not enough places for a lot of players. So they're going to have to start putting themselves in the shop window as well as anything else. So to do that, all you can do is start to play good and start to perform really well, and hopefully they start tomorrow.
So, Ricky, we'll take the Moras game in isolation. How do you see it go, and what's your scorer and score prediction?
3-1. I'll go 3-1 Rangers. I think that ginger, weird-looking guy, Murray, will score for them. And I will say Igaman with 2 goals for us and Czerny.
Kerr, can you top that, mate?
I was actually going to say 3-1 as well. So I think Dessers will score. I was laughing at me, Simon Murray. Listen, I think Simon Murray's a decent SPL player. I think he's decent.
Kerr, JD will be supporting Dundee, man. I've never heard a guy love an opposition player as much as him in my entire life.
He just loves the gingers, doesn't he?
Loves the gingers, man. Up the gingers.
I bet somebody will complain that I've said that, gingerism. Listen, I'm a bit ginger. It used to be ginger, but now it's grey. But I think we'll all win tomorrow. Listen, they'll make it hard. They always do. And they're having to bounce back as well. I know they're not great, but they're fighting for their survival as well down there. So I think it'll be a decent game, but I do think Barry will have them ready and we will win. I think the mistakes against Motherwell, Kilmarnock, I agree with. He's had more time with the players, and I think a lot of these things are probably ironed out more. The players know what to expect now. And I think the management team have just made it more simple for them, hasn't it? They've just made it, like you mentioned before, Ricky. He's telling them they've got a certain job to do. They're backing each other up. Don't overcomplicate things. Get your basics right. And some people just overcomplicate. Football is not a difficult game. We know that ourselves, but some managers just overcomplicate it. And I think Clement done that. But I think Ferguson knows how to win as a player. And I think he just get in there and tell the players to go out, enjoy yourself, keep everything neat, tidy, basics, and your quality will shine through. And I think that's what we're doing. So I think we'll have a good game tomorrow, we'll win. But I do think Dundee will put up a performance because they're fighting for their lives.
What about you, Davey? Score on...
Mate, you know I like a funny one, so I'm going to go 7-1 Yilmaz to get the first goal, mate. So, stick a pound on that and, you'll still be paying your mortgage next week. So,
stick a pound on that and Davey's still paying his taxes till ever.
But gentlemen, I've thoroughly enjoyed your company tonight. Thanks for having me on. It was good to step in for Gary, who unfortunately couldn't be on this week. But honestly, I thoroughly enjoyed your company, and it was good to talk all things Rangers.
Back, mate.
It was good to have you back. I say you're always welcome on here, and I like to say to you too and everybody watching, I really enjoyed it tonight. It's been a lot of pressure and my heat the last week or so and going through different things, but I've enjoyed this. It's made me laugh again, and
good.
Thanks you too, and thanks everybody watching.
No, so it leaves me to end the show with my normal catchphrase. It's goodbye from them, and it's goodbye from me. Good night.